everybody, this is Dana with the Freedom Please channel and essenceofme.com. I'm coming on today to talk about, not really give a review, but give my thoughts on different types of hooks and needles. Okay, hooks and needles for crocheting and knitting. I'm going to put this all in one video because in the end, you can watch the whole thing. I'd love for you to watch the whole thing and rate, comment, and subscribe. But I am learning that the selection of whether to use bamboo, I got this in my hand, I'm going to poke myself in the eye, bamboo or whatever, they're aluminum or metal, whatever the material is, or even plastic needles, is number one, a personal choice. Number two, I believe it has a lot to do with the type of yarn that you are using. And number three, I think it has to do with your skill level. Okay, so your personal preference, the type of yarn that you're using, and your skill level. I'm going to, and I hope the lighting is okay. I'm going to first start off with hooks, for crochet hooks. I usually use, um, honestly, I don't know what the material is. So metal or aluminum, whatever. You all know if you use hooks, but they look like this, right? And they usually are, have some sort of coating or whatnot. And this is, and I'm using this big one intentionally so that you can see the catch of the hook. This is a boy, and I wanted to show another one, and I bet it's not in here because it's one of my favorites, and I bet it is. Oh, sorry. Um, there's also ones that I really am starting to like for my big prayer shawls where I want it to be more airy. And they're made by Susan Bates, and the hook in here is extremely sharp. The curve here, much like this. Okay, there. You see the difference there. This is a curve, and this is a sharper. You see that in there. And the Susan, I believe it's Susan Bates, makes this sort of metally material, but that has a sharper catch inside, neck of the hook, like this bamboo one, okay? And I like that one because it catches the yarn, even though when I'm making the really big prayer shawls that I want to have a flowy aspect, like the scarf that I showed you all, I'm usually wanting to crochet very loose. And even though I'm loose, it will catch, and I will still have the speed that I need to get the project done in in the time that I wanted to get it done in. And so I really like that hook. And so I will be buying more of those, but I'm almost certain it's the Susan Bates. This is a hook that I purchased from Annie's, and this is I guess either a bamboo or even maybe it feels like it's wooden. And I bought this, and I showed this in a haul really just to see how, if I felt a difference. So going to those three things that I talk about: personal choice, yarn that you're using, and skill level. If I had to choose one brand or type of, or one type of hook to use, I would always first go towards the metalish kind of, so either the boy or the um, uh, Bates hook. One, because of the availability, and now the other ones are becoming more readily available, but just because I feel as though no matter what type of yarn you're using, if you are trying to move fast, the material of these hooks will help you move faster because the slip of the yarn, rolling in and off of the hook. This could be just me, but in my opinion, I would stick with the metalish kind of hook. When it comes to the bamboo or wooden hook, first of all, I think they're pretty. I think they're pretty, but I think they make me feel slower. I believe that it's almost as if the yarn holds on to when it's sliding on the the length of the hook. and that it causes it to not move as fast as you're moving along. But I find that beneficial based on the type of yarn. If you're doing something that is like a finer yarn, like a smaller, like a thinner, like your one or two or something like that, that it's helpful because you won't lose your loop. Or if you are newer to crocheting and you are trying to get the hang of the movement, it doesn't slip off as easily. So, in the end, would I use these? Sometimes it wouldn't be the first one that I would grab. I just wouldn't. Since the most of my pieces I'm using acrylic yarn. This was great when I did the what that yarn was the Lion brand. Was it Quick and Thick or Quick and something? This was great. Also, when I do it with more of the higher end, like the where you have like a thin string, this is good. Okay. And I don't know, forgive me, I don't know all the names of them. And if you don't know, just put in the comment box and I'll try to find the name. But I think that's what a lot of people want to know. You know, which one should I get? Go for what your personal preference, what's comfortable for you. And then you go with looking at the type of yarn that you're using and then your skill level. The other thing that I do want to point out is this. Do you see the notch here? The groove where you hold and your finger holds on this wooden one, it's shorter and than this. And so that's something else that I noticed, but to me it really didn't bother me. But I've noticed, like, if I'm showing someone and I just grab, because I always just grab my bag and give them a hook and we just go. But I think that's important too to take a look at. So that's all for the hooks that I have to say. If you have any comments or questions, I would just put them in the box and I'll share whatever it is that I can share that will be helpful. Now I'm going to go to the needles. I'm a new knitter, so you got to take that into consideration. I was always told when you receive advice, make sure you pay attention to the person that's giving it to you. So I'm a new knitter. But in my short span as a knitter, I have used the metal, aluminum, whatever hooks. These are by Susan Bates. I've used the bamboo. And the crazy thing is these do not have a brand on them because I received them in a kit. And I've used plastic. Okay? So, what do I want to say about these? Same three things. Actually, I don't know if that's the same for knitting. Okay, same three things. Preference, type of yarn, skill level. When I was doing the ruffle scarves and I was using the Red Heart Boutique, if I used the metal ones like these, I would look up and my piece would be on the floor because it would slide off. The benefit of having the sliding on the crocheting is the same benefit that I believe that you get with knitting. Now that I'm faster, I would not use I don't think I would ever pick these. Probably for a kid. I'll tell you about those. I would pick these, especially when you have a lot of stitches, or you have a lot of stitches on your hook. But the problem is, if you have a bunch of stitches and you get too close to this edge, it will slide right off and you can lose your stitches. At least for me, because I'm not that fast, and my skill level is still very new. Okay, so with the metal ones here, I think the same thing is true. It is helpful with speed because the yarn can slide on and off quite easily. The same thing is true with the wood slash bamboo, at least the ones that I've used, but I found that these were awesome for any of that, whether you consider it high end or more of the fancy yarn. Because when that boutique had the thin string that I had to use to work, this was perfect because it was almost as if that yarn just held onto the bamboo needles, and that was very, very, very beneficial. And what I mean by hold on, not in a sense of when you are finished for the day and you put it to the side. I mean that it will slip off. And maybe I'm holding it wrong. that I could lose stitches, but I don't often, but still. So here's with the bamboo. With the plastic ones, I have them because they came in a class, but almost immediately I worked them off of the plastic onto one of my aluminum needles. I think these will be great if you're teaching a child to knit because just the pure safety of them. I also like this particular pair because of the size. This size can fit in my purse. Now, I would have to be working something extremely small, like the scarf that I'm working on right now. This would be perfect because the number of stitches are few, and this is just a small size of needles. And so I think that for that reason alone, I would potentially use these, but I would not buy these. I just wouldn't. There is nothing in that would prompt me to buy these. I'll keep them. I plan to use them when I'm doing the classes at church for our prayer shawl ministry because we get people that come in that want to learn how to crochet, that want to learn how to knit, and I would use those. I mean, use these for that so that I'll always have a spare pair because I'll probably never have a working project on those. Not that I can anticipate. So I hope that this was beneficial and helpful for you. I do. There was someone that recommended another brand that I have not tried, and I need to go back and look at that thread. Can't think of it right now, but I want to take a look at. And I'm really interested in potentially consider an interchangeable set, but I haven't really been compelled to purchase them because I have so many crochet hooks that I really don't need it. And I have them in these nifty little things, so it would be pointless for me to spend however much, unless they were just really on sale and I just couldn't pass them by. I have very few of the knitting needles, and so I want to get more of those. But again, that's not a priority. My priority now is learning and reading the patterns. I do have a set of the circular ones that I have not tried yet, but when I start making my folk shawl, I will be using the circular ones. So once I use those, I'll come back and maybe do an update to this video. And when it comes to the comments and questions, let me know in the comment section. I love interacting with you all. If you have a suggestion or a recommendation or a brand of needles that you like, please put them in the comment section so that I can always come back and refer to this, or I can point people to this thread. If I see that there's a repetitive as far as a brand, I will even add it to the description box so that that can be another option. You want to have your needles be something that you like, that you're comfortable with, and that I think if you start getting used to a brand, that you may want to stick to it. But for me, needles are needles. I haven't found one that is just like, oh, I mean, I just I just grab and go. That's what I do. So maybe there's one out there that will change my mind. Who knows? So with that said, that's all that I have for you all today. Thank you for your time as always. I really do appreciate your viewership. I love interacting with you all and the suggestions that I receive in the comment section. If you've never watched any of my other, whether they're yarn crafting videos, I would suggest spending some time perusing the comment section because I have quite a few subbies that are crocheters, that are knitters. And so that's all that I have to say. I hope this was beneficial, and I look forward to interacting with you all in the comment section. Have a fantastic day, and I will talk with you all hopefully sooner than later. Goodbye.